Just stop. Terminator Genisys is directed by Alan Taylor, co-written by Leita Kalogridis and Patrick Lussier, and stars Jai Courtney, Emilia Clarke, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Jason Clarke. So Terminator Genisys is kind of a reboot for the franchise but using an alternate timeline. So here once again we have John Connor played by Jason Clarke sending back Kyle Reese played by Jai Courtney to the past so he can protect his mother Sarah Connor played by Emilia Clarke from a T-800 Terminator played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But when Kyle Reese arrives in 1984, he discovers that things have changed. Sarah Connor has already been trained to become a badass, and together she, Kyle Reese, and her guardian Terminator go to the future to once again prevent Judgment Day. And unfortunately for me, the Terminator movies just keep getting worse, in my opinion. While Arnold Schwarzenegger is really good in this movie, the visuals are just really outdated, and the writing is still really, really bad. Everything about this movie is just bland. On an audiovisual level, it really just doesn't do anything that impressive. I mean, it's not blaring like Terminator Salvation was, but the sound really is just unimpressive. And the music from Lorne Balfe also fails to successfully incorporate Brad Feigel's themes in there. They just keep trying to shoehorn in those two classic themes that you hear, which is what they also try to do with all the one-liners in the franchise. And the production design also doesn't really help the locations become more memorable, because for me, production design isn't just about making things look better, but to really kind of use the actual geography well. If you think about the police station scene from the first Terminator, or the scene in Miles Dyson's house in the second Terminator movie, like those are memorable scenes because you could really get a sense of place, and here they really don't do that. And there really is just absolutely too much CGI. I heard that they did use a practical T-800 skeleton in this movie, but I did not see it. The Terminators in this movie don't feel like they have weight to them. Thus, they feel weak, they don't feel threatening. The T-1000, for some reason, looks worse than it did in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, because they just keep trying to overuse like its powers and whatnot, so it becomes obvious that it's not really there. The future war of the machines that we see at the beginning of the movie doesn't look that scary because it's just, I don't know, there's something about it that makes it look fake as well, and while the makeup is still well done, it's just not impressive anymore. The pacing from editor Roger Barton moves so quickly that it feels like nothing really happens in this movie by the time it's over. There are attempts at having slower character building moments in the movie, but they're obviously just filler in between these bigger action set pieces that the movie really focuses on. But for me, the real issue here is that the movie is trying to fast-track Judgment Day in one movie. They're trying to do the plots of the first three Terminator films in one movie, and obviously you don't have time to develop anything in that time. And everyone feels like a supporting character in the sense that you don't really have a main protagonist in this movie, thus you don't really have a point of view from which you're seeing these events unfold, and you really can't latch onto anything. There's no sense of danger as well. It really doesn't feel like Judgment Day is incoming. There's no sense of paranoia about anything. But really the biggest issue here is the writing. Like, the plot of this movie is just absolutely incomprehensible. It's so convoluted. There's so many stupid plot twists going on. The most promising characters are really just kind of pushed aside in favor of like the bigger action set pieces, obviously. And speaking of characters, the character of Kyle Reese has reached full blandness. He is literally just the most boring, generic GI ever. Sarah Connor, unfortunately, her toughness is never actually seen beyond her shooting guns. Like, when she's not in an action scene, you don't believe that this woman was raised by a Terminator. And every single line of dialogue in this movie is just exposition, people explaining what they want to do, what's going on in this situation, like what their motives are. It's crazy. In terms of acting, Jai Courtney continues to have zero personality. He really just does nothing to add to the character of Kyle Reese. He's pretty much a glorified stuntman in this movie. And for me personally, I think Emilia Clarke was the wrong choice for Sarah Connor in this movie because she ends up overacting a lot. Her character doesn't feel consistent. You know, after the action scenes are over, she doesn't feel like Sarah Connor. Jason Clarke also overacts a lot and is unconvincing in like the two roles he plays in this movie, which I'm not gonna spoil if you haven't seen the trailers. And the director Alan Taylor really feels better suited to TV, because for me, TV is able to shift tones easier because you really do tackle a lot more story elements at the same time. But for a movie like this, he just does not know what tone to stick with, because the stupid humor for Terminator 3 is back, the unconvincing romance from Terminator 1 is back, And like I said, there's no feeling of doom here. You know the good guys are gonna win, you know that they will be saved, so you don't care about any of these characters. But I can't say that Terminator Genisys is just a bad movie because there are things that I did enjoy about it. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is really good. He really hasn't lost his touch. He knows exactly how to play this character. He's actually kind of funny in the movie, and he's still totally believable as an action star. J.K. Simmons also walks in this movie for like 5 minutes, and he really makes an impact. When he's there, you're thinking like, okay, this is an actor. And this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I really didn't mind the action in this movie. It's really over the top. It's really silly, but I was still really entertained. I thought some of it was actually mildly inventive. But in the end, I will say the Terminator Genisys is just a meh movie. It's really not very good. It's hard to recommend to both Terminator fans and like casual newcomers to the series, but it's fun if you want to just enjoy a popcorn, mindless blockbuster, which is what Terminator has become. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Terminator Genisys. Have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.